Hey everybody, welcome back. I've got another flower arrangement for you. We sort of fully seems to be in summer now and bloom is very much upon us, so yeah, sort of hopefully getting some videos out to you thick and fast. Today the plan is to sort of do a candlestick holder arrangement, again using the same pot as we've used last week. But yeah, have that there and then sort of some flowers coming around it, and also making use of some Oasis, aka Floral foam. Yeah, hopefully we'll get to play around with that. But yeah, we'll get into the flowers now. Yeah, so this is what's going into it. As you can see, we sort of have the same compote sort of bowly thing as last week. It's expensive enough to buy new flowers, let alone buying new vases each week, so reusing that. We then have these chrysanthemums, which are quite nice. White colour, I think should go quite nicely with the sort of white, sort of marbly colour of the bowl. And then also these carnations, again, sort of slightly off-white cream colour, and there's the purple, which should be nice. And yeah, here's the Oasis sort of floral flow. We're going to cut that to shape, and then yeah, the candle. So the candle should fit there. Foam sort of here and here, flowers sticking out of it. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I'm sure I'll find something, but that's the plan so far, and we'll see how it gets on. So I guess the first step is going to be actually trying to get the sort of floral foam to line up and match to what we want here. I think, you know, despite these two blocks looking quite big compared to the bowl, we're actually going to need two, but then sort of cut around it. Good thing is about floral foam, it is very, very cheap, so you can sort of don't have to use it so sparingly, but yeah, just press it in there to try and give an impression about what we're going to cut around. The aim is I'm going to try and make sort of a semicircular thing, semicircular dome that sort of sits in there, candle in the middle, and then it'd be quite small and quite tight, but then pack the flowers in around it. That is the plan, at least. Sort of just any old knife really, cut through it. But yeah, it's sort of where the fun begins, I think. Sort of a semi-dome. God, they make this look very bloody easy in all the other videos I looked it up. I always thought floral foam was so much fun to play with when I was younger. Just sort of get it wet and then press my thumb into it. Mum would go slightly mad. That's starting to take shape. Hello. So, pretty happy with how that's sitting. Look, it's not absolutely perfect, but it hasn't really got to be perfect. It's going to be covered up. Now, time to cut the candle hole. So I'm going to sit there. So again, do a similar thing, press and mark in, and try and get it sitting at the height that I kind of like the look of. This is where I get a little bit more technical. Yeah, so as a foundation as a whole there, what you got to remember, it's all stuff that also compresses really easily when it has been soaked, so sort of just cutting out the outline of a hole and then squashing it down a bit once it's soaked should work absolutely fine. Now, it's important when soaking Oasis, don't just dunk it and think that you're done, because although that'll look wet, it's actually just wet sort of, you know, right on the surface, but it sort of needs to just let it soak in and absorb until it sort of floats, or sort of until it stops floating. Which, you know, it's designed to absorb very quickly, so it shouldn't be overly long. Yeah, so I think that's more or less pretty soaked. You can see, I'm trying to fit it in there to get those two semicircles sitting like that. Yeah, so I think that looks like kind of a nice enough-ish base. I guess when we go along and do the actual rest of the flower arrangement, we can slightly trim off any bits that we don't need or want. But so far, I'm pretty happy with that. Now it is more into actually what the hell am I going to do with these flowers. So the thought is, I have 3 of these. I just sort of space them fairly evenly around it and then fill in the sort of blank space with here. I think with the Oasis, it's not the most beautiful thing to look at in the world. It's not gapingly ugly and it's green, so it sort of blends in, but you want to at least try and keep an arrangement that covers most of it. But yeah, I think we're going to try and cut these fairly low down. And I'm going to leave the flowers on for the time being. Oh, the leaves on even. Oh, keep the flowers on, yeah, no shit. Just so, or at least most of the leaves, so we sort of don't run out of greenery, because obviously there's no sort of foliage I have here with me today. So, I mean, yeah, these have got to be way up short. Yeah, almost actually, to the extent that I'm going to get rid of most of the leaves, because it's not really going to be much leafy matter, you know, left exposed. So just sort of going to trial with that length for now. Maybe a little bit shorter actually. There we go. Yeah, not such an awful start. So Oasis gets pretty much everywhere. Yeah, so I think you can just easily space out these. Again, following a fairly sort of similar process. Moving the leaves, I mean, how does that look? I think that's got the potential to look quite nice, you know? Get my waist all over my shirt. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to cut the stems quite short, but you still want to leave enough stem, and I think maybe I've slightly cut that one too short, so that when you stick them in, there's enough sort of stem to sort of counterbalance and leverage against it, so that it doesn't just completely droop down, especially that we're sticking sort of on this sloped angle. Sometimes do is stab out a hole first, a bit of stem, and put it in there, yeah. I like that as an idea, whatever it is. Yeah, so 2 there, and then just sort of do 1 round here, completing the thirds. Yeah, so I mean, there we go, I'm pretty happy with that for now as a start. That's sort of everything covered in slightly fine grain dust, such as the nature of working with Oasis. Yeah, and so now I'm just going to fill the spaces in, cover sort of any bits of green from the oasis that you can see with these. And fingers crossed it turns out all right. Might remove the candle actually. Or do I want to keep the candle in? Quite handy, you put sort of plastic wrapper still on the candle, so any sort of water or like dirt that gets in it now, when you actually come to sort of presenting it or having it sort of in the centre of a table or something, you can just remove it and be good to go. I'm sort of thinking something in like that will look nice, and we've got what, 4 of each, so yeah, so maybe sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 around it. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. Ugh. That is the one fortunate thing about when you work with flowers. They inherently look so pretty. You can sort of get away with having no idea what you're doing, and it kind of looks alright because the subject you're working with is very good. Something like drawing. Pencil lines don't inherently look that great. You sort of draw quite well. It's quite easy with flowers. You just sort of point and shoot and it will always look hopefully okay. I do try and sort of mix up the heights a little bit, so I do kind of a low one in here. I think so that's just gone through to the centre of the candle, so this one's slightly. Take that off. Yeah, I'm not looking for too much variation, sort of height for any of these flowers, more just sort of be able to form a nice sort of ring around the candle, I think. Maybe one sort of in here, and one as far side here with me, I think. Now, onto these ones, should add a bit of colour this. I just thought it'd be a bit bland to go, I was thinking maybe you could get some like white roses or something in there, but that may be a bit boring actually to just have it all white. Looks a bit sort of like Christmassy, and not Christmassy, but sort of like it's fit for a wedding. Without a bit of colour, so I sort of thought was why not spice it up a little bit at least. Okay. Do it around the far side there, just sort of. Fill that in. Maybe get done with a couple more of these actually, just to fill it in a little bit thicker, but I should make do. Maybe just some foliage would have filled it out, but I think it will look alright in the end, Yeah, Yeah, I'll tell you what, there we go. I'm pretty happy with that, how that's turned out. Maybe if I were to improve anything, I'd get a few more few more flowers or foliage, but generally there's not. Hello, car alarm going off. That's fun, good for the audio. But generally pretty happy with that. You can kind of see it a bit there. There's not many angles you can't see. I'll get an up close shot for you now. So here it is in all its glory. I'm fairly happy with how it's turned out. I think it looks quite nice on the sort of raised plinth. It's not really much sort of a waste, as you can see the way the flowers are now arranged. Maybe it could have done with one or two more, but I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. I think yeah, it's got the potential to be quite a nice flower arrangement. Excited to get the wrap off and actually light it at some stage. Anyway, thanks for watching everyone. See you in the next one.